When I was little, one of my big responsibilities that I had is that I was in charge of feeding our dog Omen every morning. So what that meant is I would get her little dog dish and I would go downstairs to the basement where we kept our dog food. I'd fill up the amount she was supposed to have and I'd bring her dish upstairs and I would feed her. And it was a very big responsibility and I was probably the only one who could handle that. Well, one time when I was down there and I was filling it, I spilled some kibble on the floor, and much like I probably would to this day, I remember looking at the fallen kibble on the floor and going, ugh, I'll get to that later. And then went upstairs, fed Omen, totally forgot about it. The next morning I go downstairs to feed her, and that's when I remembered about the fallen kibble, and I was like, oh gosh, I gotta clean that up. It was gone. And being a science-minded individual, I then decided, what would happen if I put kibble on the floor again? So I put, 2 or 3 pieces of kibble on the floor, went upstairs. Next morning, the kibble was gone. At this point, I decide that I am obviously feeding all the mices and all the spiders that are living in our basement. And I don't want them there, but they're there, so I might as well keep feeding them. So not only was I now in charge of feeding Omen breakfast, I was now in charge of feeding all the animals that I thought were living in our basement their breakfast. Well, this goes on for several weeks. Finally, we're doing like a family trip somewhere, and I realize that while I'm gone, who's gonna feed all the mices and spiders in the basement? So the day before we leave the trip, I make sure I go downstairs and I just throw dog food all over the basement, scatter it everywhere, so that way it's evenly distributed and everything, so that way while we're gone, they're still gonna get their food. I was very proud of myself. Then I went upstairs and carried on about my life. Sometime later that evening, I remember hearing a thunderous shout of frustration from the basement, and then I heard my mom stomping upstairs, and she gets to the top of the stairs, she makes eye contact with everyone in the house, and she's like, I have had it. Who keeps spilling dog food everywhere, and why? So one day my mom had gone downstairs to do laundry, and she'd seen 1 or 2 pieces of dog kibble on the floor, and she just, picked it up, put it in the bin, carried on with her day. And then, the next day it happened again, and she just assumed, absolute accident. And she's not about to, get on our cases for that, because, we were trying our best and we were still pretty little. The hand-eye coordination wasn't there, so she just was like, whatever. But then she realized that it seemed like it was more and more, and it was really deliberate. But she's like, that's crazy. Who in your family would be deliberately throwing dog food on the floor? But over time, it was slowly eating away at her mind. And then finally, when she was so stressed because we're getting the family ready to go on a big event, she finds like the entire thing of dog food spread all over the floor. And that's when she realized this whole time she was right. It had been deliberate. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye.